There is no historical evidence or documentation outside of the Bible that supports the idea of a Roman census requiring people to travel to their ancestral hometowns, as described in the nativity story of Luke 1-5. This detail has raised questions among historians and scholars for several reasons. 1. Roman census practices. Historical records indicate that Roman censuses were conducted primarily for taxation and military purposes. These censuses typically required individuals to register where they currently lived and owned property, not where their ancestors had lived. Practicality. It would have been logistically impractical for the Roman Empire to enforce a policy requiring everyone to return to ancestral homes, especially in a vast and diverse empire. Lack of precedent. There is no precedent in Roman administrative records for such a census practice. 2. Timing and historical inconsistencies. The Gospel of Luke claims that the census occurred during the reign of Caesar Augustus and while Quirinius was governor of Syria. Luke 2:1-2. However, Quirinius's census, the historical census conducted under Quirinius, occurred in 06 CE, long after the death of Herod the Great, who is central to the nativity story and died in 04 BCE. This creates a chronological conflict. No evidence of an empire-wide census. There is no record of an empire-wide census during the time described, let alone one that required people to return to ancestral towns. 3. Theological motivation. Some scholars suggest that the detail about Joseph and Mary traveling to Bethlehem may have been included to fulfill Jewish prophecies about the Messiah being born in Bethlehem, for example, Micah 5-2. Narrative purpose. The nativity story connects Jesus to King David's lineage, as Bethlehem is David's city. This detail may have been added for theological, not historical, reasons. Symbolic ancestry. Emphasizing Joseph's lineage might have been a way to establish Jesus' messianic credentials rather than reflect actual historical events. 4. Lack of corroboration. While the Gospels of Matthew and Luke both describe the birth of Jesus, their accounts differ significantly. Matthew does not mention a census or a journey to Bethlehem. Instead, he focuses on the visit of the Magi and Herod's attempt to kill Jesus. Luke's unique inclusion of the census is not corroborated by any other gospel or external historical source. 5. Agnostic and secular interpretations. From a secular or agnostic perspective, the story may be seen as a literary or theological construct rather than a historical account. Purpose of the narrative. The nativity story may have been written to convey deeper spiritual truths or fulfill community expectations rather than serve as a factual historical record. Cultural context. The story reflects the blending of Jewish messianic hopes with Roman historical context to appeal to early Christian audiences.